नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा रस बिहारी राधे जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा निताय गौरा हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय यशोदनंदना व्रजजनरञ्जन यशोदनन्दन व्रजजनरञ्जन यमुनतीरावनचारी यमुनतीरावनचारी जय राधमाधव कुञ्ज बिहारी। जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्रीमद एसी भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी शिल प्रभुपाद की जय। नामाचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरभक्त वृंद की जय। आचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, text number 19, text number 10, chapter 19. King Yayati achieves liberation. Tasya tatra dvija kaschit aja swami achina drusha lambantam vrishanam bhuyah sandade arthaya. Yogavit tasya tatra dvijah kaschit aja swami tasya tatra dvijah kaschit aja swami achinadrusha lambantam vrishanam bhuyah sandade arthaya yogavit. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The she-goat went to the residence of a Brahmana who was the maintainer of another she-goat, and that Brahmana angrily cut off the he-goat's dangling testicles. But at the he-goat's request, the Brahmana later rejoined them by the power of mystic yoga. Purport. Here, Shukracharya is figuratively described as the husband of another she-goat. This indicates that relationship between husband and wife in any society, whether higher or lower than human society, is nothing but the same relationship between he-goat and she-goat. For the material relationship between man and woman is one of sex. Yan maitunadi grahamedi sukham hitucham. Shukracharya was an acharya or expert in family affairs, which involve the transfer of semen from the he-goat to the she-goat. The words Kashchid Ajaswami expressly indicate herein that Shukracharya was no better than Yayati, for both of them were interested in family affairs generated by Sukra or semen. Shukracharya first cursed Yayati to become old so that he could no longer indulge in sex. But when Shukracharya saw that Yayati's emasculation would make his own daughter a victim of punishment, he used his mystic power to restore Yayati's masculinity. Because he used his power of mystic yoga for family affairs and not to realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this exercise in the magic of yoga was no better than the family affairs of he goats and she goats. Yogic power should properly be used to realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As the Lord Himself recommends in Bhagavad Gita, Yoginam api sarvesham madgaten antaratmana Shraddhavan bhajate imam sameyukta tamomataha. Of all yogis, he who always abides in me with great faith, worshipping me in transcendental loving service, is most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, welcome to all of you for this evening session on Srimad Bhagavatam. Um, Today we'll hopefully finish this chapter. So, yesterday we were hearing how he goat and she goat analogy, allegory. This is a allegorical story, but it is his own story. Maharaj Yayati is narrating. So, so, when the he goat had his testicles restored, he enjoyed the she goat he had gotten from the well. But although he continued to enjoy for many, many years, even now he has not been fully satisfied. So Sri Prabhupada says, when one is bound by affection for one's wife, one is attached to sexual desires that are very difficult to overcome. Therefore, according to Vedic civilization, one must voluntarily leave so-called home and go to the forest, right? Panchashaudam Manam Rajet. So, human life is meant for such tapasya or austerity. So, by the austerity of voluntarily stopping sex life at home and going to the forest, to engage in spiritual activities in the association of devotees, one achieves the actual purpose of human life. So that is why it is called Panchashodam Vanam Rajet. So, like in the previous chapter, like Yadu mentioned, one must actually finish his business of sense gratification, then go to Vrindavan, right? So, Srila Prabhupada says, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the afternoon I was reading, so it's very interesting. Prabhupada is saying that anybody who does any business, uh, anything for earning money in Vrindavan or any dham, uh, or anybody who indulges in sense enjoyment, uh, they will become dog in the next life in Vrindavan. Then subsequently they will get liberation because staying in Vrindavan is very glorious. So all of you devotees who are planning to purchase a flat in Vrindavan, um, so you should and stay there. You should actually finish your business of sense gratification, earning money. You should have enough money if you go to Vrindavan and stay. You should have enough money so that you don't have to earn any money in Vrindavan. No business, no sense gratification. So that is the purpose of living in Mayapur and Vrindavan. Simply bhajan, chant Hare Krishna whole day, and eat little, do parikramas. That should be the business. Otherwise, you go to Vrindavan and stay there, then earn money for staying there, and um, have a cable connection, watch TV, all that stuff. Then Prabhupada says Um, one will have to become a dog or a monkey or a pig in the next life in Dham. So it's not a good proposal. So that is why, as per the instruction of Prahlad Maharaj, one must finish all the business and vanam hitvata patam grahamanda kupam, you know vanam gato yad harimashrayeta, right? So the best one, Prabhupada says, is Vrindavan, or Mayapur, like that. So this Maharaj Yayati is saying that, my dear wife with beautiful eyebrows, I am exactly like that he goat. For I am so poor in intelligence that I am captivated by your beauty and have forgotten the real task of self-realization. So if one remains a victim of the so-called beauty of his wife, his family life is nothing but a dark well. You know, existence in such a dark well is certainly suicidal. If one wants relief from the miserable condition of material life, one must voluntarily give up his lusty relationship with his wife. Otherwise, there is no question of self-realization unless one is extremely advanced in spiritual consciousness. Household life is nothing but a dark well in which one commits suicide. Prahlad Maharaj therefore recommended that in due time, at least one's 50th year, one must give up household life and go to the forest. Vanam gatoyat harimashriyata. So if somebody, we see so many couples, in modern society, they sacrifice so much for the uh, comfort and welfare of their children, and sometimes they are left with nothing, and they are at the mercy of uh, her son and the daughter-in-law. Sometimes they are mistreated very badly because they don't have, especially man. You should not depend on children and all. You should, if somebody practices Krishna consciousness from young age, so at old age, um, one can lead a very and a meaningful life, because he doesn't have to depend on his son and the bahu and all, because if somebody becomes vanaprasthi and goes to Vrindavan, so some devotees, if somebody becomes a devotee, nice devotee, and is preaching, people will take care of, Krishna will take care of that devotee. So the frustration of old people, um, in Western countries, is very to be noted, because they were not trained. So once they stop working, they don't know what to do with their time. So they watch TV, and then they get bored. In America, I have seen some old ladies and old men. They roam around in their huge malls that they have got. So in old age, they don't know what to do. But if somebody is practicing Krishna consciousness since youthful days, since childhood days, then at old age, everybody will respect him, um, uh, for the knowledge he can give about Krishna consciousness. So then, old age will not be a problem for a devotee. So it is very practical. So that's why Prabhupada again and again, requesting that So here, Maharaj Yayati is speaking very significant words. You can note down, when a man is non-envious and does not desire ill fortune for anyone, he is equipoised. For such a person, all directions appear happy. So, very important instruction, um, especially in the society of devotees. If we become envious of other devotees, you know, anybody, anywhere, then our life becomes miserable, because our heart is always burning. We should always remember, you know, that there is no, Prabhupada says, there is no benefit of envying someone else, because uh, even if you think that somebody is progressing, um, uh, materially wealthy or spiritually, he does it, especially materially as per his destiny, and spiritually as per his hard work in sadhana. Spiritual life is not as per destiny. You should always remember. So, uh, so you can't stop somebody making progress. Even if you become envious, because laws of nature are very stringent, and time supplies, whether it is happiness or distress, at an appropriate, at a correct time. Just like this Pizza Hut wale and Domino's, they race towards delivering the pizzas on time, right? Zomato, like that. So they have some, if you don't uh, reach on time, you don't they don't have to get paid, something like that, I heard. So in the same way, Kala delivers whatever we deserve, whatever we are destined to get, at the exact time, not 1 minute delay, without any 1 minute delay. So if I become envious, even if I become envious of that person, you just can't stop. So um, you can't stop him from getting what he is destined to get. So, so why to blacken our hands? हमारा हाथ क्यों गंदा करने का? So like that. So this is a very important instruction. Once we become free from envy, then we can actually like everybody. We can like everybody, because we don't love somebody, we don't like somebody, because we are envious of that person. If I am free from envy, then I will like that person. So if you like somebody, he will also like you. Right? So so that is, whatever you give, you will get it back. you know so like that. So if you give love, mm, you will get back love. If you give hatred, you will also get back hatred. So another instruction Maharaj Yayati is saying, same instruction was given by Suniti, to Dhruv Maharaj when he was insulted by his stepmother, Suruchi. He said, "My dear son, uh, please do not desire ill for anyone, for anyone." So like that. So it was a very, just now Suruchi insulted Dhruv Maharaj, but Maharani Suniti was instructing that don't desire ill fortune of your stepbrother and stepmother. Huh? So these two instructions are very important. One should be non-envious and does not desire ill fortune for anyone. So in the purport of the verse, Dukkesh Anudvignamana, Sukesh Vigata Haskruha, Vitaraga Bhaikroda, um, um, Siddhadir Muniruchate. So in that, Vishwanath Chakravarti says that Siddhaduri Muni, he doesn't even desire uh, harm uh, uh, to a person who stole his money. Even if somebody steals his money, still he doesn't desire ill fortune for that person. He is not angry with that person. So that is a very significant. Uh, that is why Prabodhananda Saraswati says that Vishwam Purna Shukhayate. So when one becomes Krishna conscious by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, for him the entire world appears happy, and he has nothing for which to hanker. So on the Brahmabhuta stage, or the platform of spiritual realization, there is no lamentation and no material hankering. So, as long as one lives in the material world, actions and reactions will continue. But when one is unaffected by such material actions and reactions, he is to be considered free from danger of being victimized by material desires. So, in this regard, Vishwanath Chakravarti comments that when one is non-envious, even of his enemy, does not expect honor from anyone, but instead desires all well-being, even for his enemy, he is understood to be a Paramhamsa, one who has fully subdued the lusty desires for sense gratification. So, in our case, we should at least should not act upon our envious mentality. Even if I become envious of a person, um, and who is preaching better than me, and who is gathering many people around him, I may be envious of that person. At least I should not act upon that envious feelings and try to stop put put obstacles in his on his preaching work, because whether you are attracting 10 people, someone is attracting 100,000 people, both of us, we are serving Krishna. So both of us are making devotees. So if some devotee, some other devotee is preaching nicely and making hundreds of devotees, we should feel happy that he is turning so many people into devotees. So not that everybody has to follow you. So everybody has to chip in. Then whole world will become Krishna conscious. So somebody makes 100,000 people into devotees. Somebody make 10 devotees. But the numbers do not matter. It matters how, whether you are doing it for pleasing Krishna, not for gathering disciples or getting name and fame. So this is a very important instruction. Becoming free from envy of any devotee, especially, and later on make a progress so that you don't become envious of even enemies. Uh, then wish well for even for enemy. Pray to Krishna that. So this is what even Prahlad Maharaj prays in fifth canto Bhagavatam, that that everybody should become free from envy, like that. So King Yati is saying that for those who are too attached to material enjoyment, sense gratification is very difficult to give up. Even when one is an invalid because of old age, one cannot give up such desires for sense gratification. Therefore, one who actually desires happiness must give up such unsatisfied desires, which are the cause of all tribulations. Um, you know so Prabhupada, many times he told, in Paris I have seen old people also going to naked clubs. They can't do anything, but they go to watch all these dances and all. So even though they are too old to enjoy anything, but still the desires have not ceased. So Because time deteriorates even the body itself, which is the medium of all sensual satisfaction. But even when a man becomes old enough to dictate that old and invalid, his desires are very strong to that he to dictate to go here and there. So therefore, you know, uh, by the practice of bhakti yoga, one should give up his lusty desires, like that. This is a very famous, shloka, ninth canto Bhagavatam. Matra swasra duhitra va na viviktasano bhavet balavan indriya gramo vidvamsam apikarshati. Matra swasra duhitra va na viviktasano bhavet balavan indriya gramo vidvamsam apikarshati. One should not allow oneself to sit on the same seat, even with one's own mother, sister, or daughter, for the senses are so strong that even though one is very advanced in knowledge, he may be attracted by sex. So, somebody may be very surprised by this instruction. When this verse, not only in Bhagavatam, in Vedas also it is there, like that. So once Vaishampayana Muni, he had expressed shock to Vedavyas Muni that how you wrote such a verse, right? How you wrote such a verse, how it's not possible for a man to become attracted to his own mother or a sister or a daughter. This is too much, like that. So Vedavyas Muni, then he said, I don't become attracted so much, um, you know, like that. Then so Vedavyas Muni, he uh, he smiled. I said, okay. Then one day, Vaishampayana Muni, he was sitting in his ashram and writing something very interesting thing. So at that time, it was raining very heavily. So, at the doorstep, there appeared a very beautiful girl, with all good structure and all that. Then she became wet because of the rain. Then, and then Prabhupada says that when a woman becomes wet, she looks more beautiful. Then exposing all her bodily parts. So, so she was looking extraordinarily beautiful, and above that, she was wet, uh, like that. So then, Vaishampayana Muni, then she said, please give me shelter. I have no one to look after. Where will I go in this rain? Like that. So, Vaishampayana Muni said, okay, stay in the ashram, stay in my room, like that. So, she said, I'm afraid that you will do something to me. No, 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 I will not do anything. You just lock yourself. So even if I knock on the door, don't open the door, like that. So okay. Then so that lady went inside, locked herself. Then Vaishampayana Muni was sitting outside. So once it happened, after some time, he started contemplating on bodily parts of that beautiful lady. Then he became so agitated that he started banging the door. Then she did not open. Then he went up, started removing the whatever talpatras, whatever they cover it. Then he removed the talpatras above the on the ceiling, and then he from the ceiling he jumped uh, into the room to enjoy with that woman. Then uh, so when he tried to wake up that girl, to his shock, he found Vedavyas Muni smiling at him. So Vedavyas Muni took the form of a woman. Mm, uh, then he said, you know so you are so old. I'm like, actually Vaisampan Muni was calling her beti beti. So matra swasra duhitra va na viviktasano bhavet balavan indriya gramo vidvansam apikarshati, like that. It is said that because then now Vedavyas Muni asked, now do you understand that verse now? Do you accept? Then Vaishambhar said, yes, yes, I agree. Anybody can become affected. So by this lust desire, so that is why one should not be alone, even with his one's own mother, a daughter or a sister. It is not that every man becomes attracted to mother or a daughter, but there are men who are, who spoil their daughters. Recently one Muslim, he was sentenced to prison because he raped his own daughter. There are so many cases like that, in India, all over the world. It is called incestuous relationships, like that. So in Egypt, this incestuous relationship, it was prevalent. Cleopatra, she was married to her own brother. In Quran. That is why the commentators, they say that in Quran it is mentioned that don't have sex with mother, don't have sex with uh, a daughter, don't have sex with sister, like that, because it was there, at that time. You'll be shocked to know, when there was a mm, uh, battle of words, walk yuddham between Karna and Salya. They're taunting each other, you know. Uh, so uh, so usually when we become angry and fighting and all, then we go back to their father side or mother side, and what from their village is like that, something like that. So Karna was abusing, Shalya, that you are coming from such a place where people have sex with their own sisters. So this is abominable. Prabhupada writes in third Kanda Bhagavatam that when Brahmaji created all these Rakshasas, so they wanted to have sex with Brahmaji. So they chased Brahmaji for that. So Krishna had to come and save Brahmaji. So Prabhupada says the trying to have sex with same sex, like same men. Prabhupada, it is demoniac. It is demoniac. So this homosexuality and all, mm, so it is demons actually. Prabhupada says, like that. So nowadays, all these churches and all now, they approve same-sex marriage and all that. So in ISKCON also, this virus has entered. Some guru, he was trying to promote same-sex marriage because there is so many guys, especially in the West, who have this homosexual tendencies. So they say that we can't, drive them away because they do devotion service also. We can tolerate such people in our temples, but Prabhupada never encouraged, people having doing that and like that. So, so that is why this caution is given in this verse, that matra swasra duhitrava na viviktasano bhavet balavan indriya gramo vidvansam apikarshati. uh, that yatato hayapi kaunteya Huh? Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, second chapter, even if a person who is trying to control the senses, huh? Because the senses are very strong, one may fall down. So one may fall down like that. So it is said that that is why in this verse it is mentioned यततो हि अपि कौन्तेय पुरुषस्य विपश्चितः इन्द्रियाणि प्रमादीनि हरन्ति प्रशभं मनः. Yeah, it is said that you know um, Indriyani Pramadini. In this regard, Prabhupada comments that for a sadhaka, for somebody who is practicing, it is very difficult for him to control the senses actually. Because for a advanced person also with yatato purushasya vipashchitaha. Vipashchita means very intelligent person. Indriyani pramadini, very very difficult for them to control. And one example is given that is why one should be very careful with one's senses. Just like a hunter, he catches the animals, and puts them in like very carefully, locks them up. See, he doesn't show any compassion on the animals, because if he shows any compassion, the animals will escape, like that. In the same way, just like a hunter is very very careful, to keep the animals chained properly. In the same way, a sadhaka should be very careful, to chain the senses very carefully by engaging them in the service of Krishna. Otherwise, they will go astray, right? They will go astray, right? Tani sarvani samyamya uh, yukta asita matparaha, you know, vashehi yasyendriyani tasya prajna pratishtita. It's a very beautiful verse. Second chapter. This is where first time Krishna spoke about surrendering to himself. Surrendering to him. Yukta asita matparaha. Right. So matpara is very important. Matpara. Para means taking complete shelter. So matpara, by taking complete shelter of me, Krishna is saying that one can actually control one's senses. Just like Ravanasur and Hiranyakashipu also, they have controlled their senses. Can we call them Sthita Prajna? Because for thousands of years they have controlled their senses. Mm. So Indra was sending so many apsaras, so many beautiful women to attract. He was sending so much wealth to them, but still they were not disturbed in their tapasya. So can we call them, can we call them Sita Prajna? No, because they are temporarily controlling their senses without without being attached to Krishna. Yukta Asita Matpara. So that is very important. Controlling the senses is not important. By being engaged in Krishna's service, we should restrain our senses. Otherwise, Ravanasur and Hiranyakashipu also, they have controlled their senses immensely for thousands of years. But for what? To enjoy more. So there was no woman left, left out by Ravanasur. Whomever he liked, whomever he was attracted to, he became either. Of course, it is mentioned that Ravanasur is a very handsome person. He very handsome person. He So many women are attracted to him, to his beauty. Some women he kidnapped and brought them. Some women he raped, and so many women they came on their own to marry him. And then he's one guy who enjoyed all types of women. He picked up women from all the different species, no, different planets. Gandharvas, Kinnaras, Apsaras, Nagaloka, Manushya, everybody. No, but he was not satisfied. Then ultimately, he was attracted to Sita. You know, so he brought Sita, then which caused his destruction. Mandodari is considered a very beautiful woman, and then so many other beautiful women were brought. So what he had achieved, by controlling, he controlled his senses to get some strength, so that he can enjoy more. He can enjoy more. So which led to his destruction. Which led to his destruction. So when he was dead, Mandodari was saying that, oh, my dear husband, you have done such a great mistake that you have punished your senses by doing such a great tapasya, by restraining them so hard that you have punished your senses. So when time came, your senses took revenge upon you. That is why they become they have become your enemies, which caused to destruction. So this is a very important verse from Ramayana, Yuddhakanda, like that. So senses became uh, revengeful because he punished them by forcibly subduing them. So that is why this verse is very important. यततो हि अपि कौन्तेय पुरुषस्य विपश्चितः इन्द्रियाणि प्रमादीनि हरन्ति प्रशभं मनः विषया विनिवर्तन्ते निराहारस्य देहिनः रसवर्जं रसोऽपि यस्य परं दृष्ट्वा nivartate. And this verse, even though somebody artificially controls his senses, but he did not lose his taste, for sense gratification, then eventually he will fall down, like Ravanasur, Hiranyakashipu. But yukta asita matpara, if somebody is engaging in his senses in Krishna's service, and then he has no time for sense enjoyment. So that is why Prabhupada says one should postpone uh, you know uh, sense gratification. Tomorrow I will do it. Today I don't have time. Like Haridas Thakur, because we cannot control the senses. We have to just postpone. Okay, I am busy now serving Krishna. So that is a very significant instruction. So um, so that is why Maharaj Yayati has decided that therefore I shall now give up all these desires and meditate upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, free from the dualities of mental concoction and free from false prestige. I shall wander in the forest with the animals. So now he has decided that I want to surrender to Krishna. I will sarvadharman parityaja mamekam shanam raja hantvam sarvapapebhyo moksheshami masuchaha. This is the principle, right? So now he's saying, therefore now I shall give up all the desires and meditate upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, free from the dualities of mental concoction and free from false prestige. I shall wander in the forest with the animals. So if somebody is interested to attain self-realization, one must surrender to Krishna. So that is why one should give up all these lusty desires. At least one should have a desire to give it up. Even if somebody is not able to give it up, at least one should lament, oh, I'm not able to give it up. So pray to Krishna. Then Krishna will definitely help us. This is there is a one very interesting verse. uh, then he called his son Puru and gave all this kingdom to Puru, and then he retired. Then Yayati enthroned his youngest son Puru as emperor of the entire world and the proprietor of all its riches, and he placed all the other sons who were older than Puru under Puru's control. So this is a very important verse. Having enjoyed sense gratification for many, many years, O King Parikshit, Yayati was accustomed to it, but he gave it up entirely in a moment, just as a bird flies away from the nest as soon as its wings have grown. So, um, so a tiny bird, dependent fully on the father and the mother, even to eat, suddenly flies away from the nest when its wings have grown. Similarly, if one fully surrenders to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one is immediately liberated from the bondage of conditional life, as promised by the Lord Himself. Right? So, how he could do that? Can anybody say how? No, we are actually trying, right? So many years to surrender to Krishna, but we are unable to give up all our material desires and completely surrender to Krishna. But Maharaj Yati, even though he enjoyed for so long and Lampat, henpecked husband chasing Devyani and all that. But as soon as he had realized, all these material desires and lusty affairs are useless. You can never satisfy lusty desires. Then he just gave it up. Just like as soon as a bird gets his wings and flies away, in the same way, he completely surrendered to Krishna. So, can somebody suggest how he could do that? I think last class I told. Anybody? Anil? Anybody? We also know, right? Sushil? Okay, I will tell. Even though he was enjoying so much, in his mind, that's not correct answer. Even though he he was enjoying, you know, mm, you know, he um, he was thinking, he cultivated, he harbored the desire that I want to be eternal servant of Krishna. In his, internally in his mind, in his heart, he's always thinking, I want to be servant of Krishna. I want to be servant of Krishna. Even though he was enjoying material pleasures. So because of that cultivation, that desire, mm, you know, he he Krishna helped him. Yeah, good. Yes, Vishal. Yes. So he was always praying to be eternal servant of Krishna. So that is why. So these 2 points are in this whole pastime. These two past things are very important. One is, even though he was enjoying material pleasures, internally he was always thinking, "I want to be eternal servant of Krishna. I want to be eternal servant of Krishna." Then this one, as soon as the bird gets his wings, flies away. In the same way, he simply surrendered. Silence. Okay, thank you very much. Good night. Anybody, any other comments on this lecture? Questions?